again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And early this morning, the former journalist, I don't know what you want to call him now. He's just a gay boy on doing a podcast. Don Lemon was arrested for what many people are calling, what federal prosecutors are alleging, participated in a takeover-style attack, quote, of a church and trying to intimidate congregants in that church. He was arrested early this morning at a Los Angeles hotel right after 12 a.m. And he was brought in for, they're going to ring him up. Pictures taken, fingerprints, all that good stuff. But a defiant Don Lemon vowed to fight the charges brought against him by federal prosecutors, and he and another independent journalist were arrested in connection with that protest in St. Paul, Minnesota. Quote by Lemon, "I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now," Lemon said outside the federal courthouse in LA on Friday after being released from custody. Quote, "In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free, independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable." There is nothing free or independent about the media. It is completely under control of left-wing maniacs who are trying to distort the world and trying to convince people that the current Weimar Republic that we're living in the Western world is suitable for future generations. That is outrageous. Simply outrageous. Now, Lemon and independent journalist George Fort were live streaming as a dozen of anti-immigration and customs enforcement protesters rushed into the city church on January the 18th, interrupting a church service and leading a tense confrontation. Now, federal prosecutors, as I said, alleged that the journalists participated in what they call a, quote, takeover-style attack of the church, and that violates what the First Amendment advocates and civil rights organizations condemn. And, civil rights organizations are condemning the charges and argue that Donald Trump is trying to chill the press and thwart the freedom of press in the United States, which is absurd. There's something in this country called the FACE Act, and it basically says you can't violate people's rights to be in church or anywhere that is, private gatherings or whatever it may be. Don Lemon violated that clearly, and when he recorded himself doing this by saying, "Oh, there's something in the air. There's I know a little secret," and he just happened to know that little secret was these ICE protesters going into this church, and not a synagogue. Oh no, not a mosque. Absolutely not. He went for the soft target. The most vulnerable people on this planet, the most hated people on this planet, and that is Christians, especially white Christians. They're the easy target. They're the soft target. And that's what Don Lemon did. And now, hopefully he pays for this. Now, as I said, this is a violation of what is called the FACE Act. And these charges, arresting him, embarrassing him, whatever, they need to stick. And he needs to do time. And if you remember back in 2020, there were these women called pro-life grannies. They were sentenced to 24 months in jail on Friday, May 15th, I think it was May 15th, 2024. So only a couple of years ago, less than 2 years ago, after being convicted that last November for participating in a pro-life blockade of a Washington, D.C. abortion clinic center in 2020, as we said. They served 2 years. They were in the clink. These were not young people. These were people in their late 50s, early 60s, some in their 70s. The same must happen to Don Lemon. This is not, for show. He must be brought to heel here, and this has to be considered an example for all these bullshit journalists who say, "Oh, no, I'm a journalist. I'm covering something." No, you knew exactly what you were doing. This was a coordinated effort. You violated these people's rights. You intimidated children out of church while they were worshiping God. You knew exactly what you were doing. And you were on video proving it. Lemon, of course, is a former CNN anchor who now hosts his own podcast or show on YouTube and other platforms. Of course, he was released from custody after appearing in federal court in Los Angeles on Friday afternoon. Lemon appeared in court wearing a tan double-breasted suit and matching T-shirt. His husband was present in the gallery. The federal prosecutor said in court, and I quote, "This is a very serious felony," adding that Lemon knowingly joined a mob to storm into the church. The prosecutor said Lemon told the audience the protesters' purpose was to make an experience traumatic and uncomfortable for the congregants. Prosecutors requested a $100,000 bond and argued Lemon needed conditions to ensure he wouldn't feel emboldened to do something similar while awaiting trial. In arguing for Lemon's release, his defense attorney said the journalist needs time to travel to work and pointed to Lemon's 59 years of nonviolent conduct. The defense attorney said Lemon intends to fight this case vigorously. Lemon was released on his own recognizance. His defense attorneys agreed he would have no contact with known witnesses, victims, or co-defendants. Under the conditions set by the court, Lemon must get approval for any foreign travel. The judge approved a trip to Europe as he planned in June. Well, really? Give me a break. Lemon's next court case is scheduled for February 9th in Minneapolis. Now, according to the unsealed grand jury indictment, Lemon is being charged with 2 federal crimes: conspiracy to violate someone's constitutional rights and violating, as I said, the FACE Act, which prohibits the use of force or threats to intentionally interfere with someone's expressing their First Amendment rights to practice religion. Lowell said, quote, "This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously thoroughly in court." The indictment alleges that Lemon and Fort, the other journalist, joined 20 to 40 other agitators who intimidated, threatened, and physically obstructed congregants at the St. Paul Church. Prosecutors claim Lemon met with other co-defendants prior to the event. This is the big one. Prior to the event for a, quote, pre-operation briefing, and that he tried to keep parts of the operation secret, including by reminding others not to reveal certain information ahead of the protest. He's got to go to jail. Plain and simple. He's got to go to jail. Of course, Fox News covered this with glee. This is from early this morning. This is for informational purposes. This is Bill Milligan, whoever the hell he is. All these Fox News guys look alike. They all have that perfectly gelled hair. Ties are knotted the same. They all wear the same suits. This is about 2 minutes. Here we go.
Minutes ago, confirming that former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in Los Angeles just after midnight this morning at a hotel. This obviously all in connection with that storming of a church in St. Paul, Minnesota by that group of anti-ICE agitators. Now, remember, the feds had gone to judges to try to get Don Lemon arrested before. They went to a magistrate judge in Minnesota who didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to a judge above him. He didn't sign off on an arrest warrant for him. Then it went to an appeals court. They also decided not to sign off for an arrest warrant for him. So there was experts who were predicting that perhaps the feds would go to a grand jury. It remains to be seen if that's what happened here, but we can confirm that Don Lemon was arrested in Los Angeles by federal agents just after midnight Los Angeles time at a hotel. Now, typically, standard procedure with an arrest like this is the defendant will likely make their first court appearance sometime the same day. So there's a chance we may see Don Lemon make his first court appearance in Los Angeles sometime today. But obviously, this is going to grab all sorts of headlines. 3 other protesters from that church storming, have already been arrested, including who the feds say was the organizer of that protest. The woman in the middle there is a school board member in St. Paul, and then the mugshot on the right is an online personality / agitator, if you want to call him that. He's known as the Woke Farmer. Those were the 3 people that the feds had already arrested, but we have confirmed that Don Lemon has now been arrested in Los Angeles in connection with that viral incident. We all saw the video of it that spread and drew widespread condemnation. The feds have been going after these people on FACE Act violations. So this is still breaking news. Once we get more details about the potential charges here, a court appearance, we'll, of course, update our viewers, guys.
Really? All right, and there you have it. And this is the photo. The first known photo of Lemon. I guess this is his mugshot. And there you go. Poor Donnie. Poor Donnie. Anyway, hopefully this sticks. Hopefully he's made an example of. And this will stop, because we can't have people, their First Amendment rights being violated like this with impunity. I mean, it's just nonsense. And that's my 2 cents. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Remember, my friends, Satan is always busy. You just saw one of his disciples. Be a man and have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And just remember, Don Lemon's going to accuse the federal government of this. If it ended in ism, it's a mental disorder. We'll see you later. Have a good week.